Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make a gnome. I know you've probably seen a lot of these gnomes on the internet, but I make mine different than other people, and I thought it might help some of you who have hand or wrist issues to see that you can in fact make them. I hope you'll stay tuned. So let me give you a rundown of the things I need. I'm using these scissors from Fiskars that are easy action, and I really like them for things like this because they cut fabric easily. I have a sock that is a new white sock. You need one white sock. You need a fuzzy sock, well, at least I like to have a fuzzy sock. And then I'm using, this is from the Dollar Tree. It's a woman's short sock, and I'll show you how to use that. Then this fur I got at Joann's in the ribbon section. It comes exactly in this width. I think it's 4 inches. Let me tell you for sure. Yeah, it's 4 inches wide, and you'll need some of that. I'll tell you the dimensions once we get to it. You'll need hot glue and a hot glue gun. I am using a one little Jingle Bell, and I'm using this just as I'll call it a mold. We'll call that a mold. You can use anything, and I'll show you that too. I want to get my, this is just regular embroidery floss. I use that instead of rubber bands because I can't use rubber bands, especially those teeny tiny ones I've seen people use on gnomes. So I'm just going to cut a couple strings of that and put it off to the side for right now. I also have some black and white twine just for decoration. We'll go there in a second. And let's see, let's start with our white sock that I've already lost on the floor. You are going to cut your white sock at some point, but at this point I don't. What I do is I put it in a cup, and then I take the top, sorry I have to put this on my lap because I can't stretch that sock on camera. I'll show it to you as soon as I get it over there though. Okay, you don't want to have a ton of it over the outside of the cup, and my gnomes aren't as big as other people's gnomes. Wait, I'll go get one of mine and show it to you so you know what mine look like. Hopefully you can see him. I don't make huge ones because I don't know necessarily that people really want ginormous ones. Mine is from the bottom to its head is 6 inches tall, and he's really hairy because this fabric, or whatever this ribbon we'll call it, that's hairy, it really sheds. So after you're done, you probably need to run a animal hair remover over it, but hopefully I'll turn him a different way so you can see him, hopefully. But that's what mine looks like. Go to whatever generic grocery store you have and get the cheapest rice you can. Like if you have a Save-A-Lot, you don't want to use good rice for this. Cheap is better. So our goal here is to get as much of this into the sock as possible. I'm going to push it down again, and then I'm going to put a little bit more in to top it off, because once you pull it out of that cup, you're in bad shape to try and add more. So that's all we're going to use. Okay, so then what I do is I put my hand over the top. I have to do this in my lap, I'm sorry. I'm just going to pull the sock off the cup. So that's what mine looks like right now, and it is about 6 inches tall. I need to, I think, put a little bit more rice in there because I want to make it a little bit taller. So I'm going to do that in my lap because it'll make a big mess. Okay, here's what I meant by, you put it in the cup. I don't know if you can see it. It's in the cup, and then I put the top of it around the top of the cup, and then I just do it like that. And I always have a little bit of remainder of rice in the bottom, but it's not nearly as bad as when it shoots all over the floor, trust me. Then what you're going to do is kind of tamp it down a little bit. And now is when I take my string, one of my strings. I double my string over sometimes because I want it to be more sturdy. this is where people use rubber bands. I can't use rubber bands, so I'm using string instead. If I could use them, I would. Okay, then I just do one single knot on this side, then I wrap it around to this side, and I tie it again, tight, as tight as I can, and then I'm going to double knot it on this side. You can keep wrapping it back and forth around the top and knotting it again and again and again if you really want to make sure it's in good sturdy condition. It's completely up to you how many times you want to knot this, but I like to just make sure, my concern is that I don't want this thing to break open and have people have a piñata of rice all over their floor. So that's how many I do. Then, this is the part where it's also kind of confusing, not confusing, tricky, when you have bad hand, wrist strength. I'm going to show you what I do first. I take my string and I start it in a circle like a lasso, and I don't know if you can see that. See how it's made so that the knot is already started? And I'm at the top. You're going to want to grab as much rice as you can, and you're going to start pulling the ends of this again. Okay, now I'm going to get to the nuts and bolts of it. And you're going to pull. I hold one end in my mouth. I know this is wrong, but this is how I do it. Get your string as far down on your nose as you can get it. That is my nose. I hope you saw how I did that, and then I didn't pull it out of the frame too much. Then I'm going to do a knot on the bottom. I'm going to go back to the top and knot it twice. So now we're just going to use just some regular scissors just to cut off our extra strings. And then I'm going to use those Fistaker scissors I talked about. You can leave this up in your cap, but sometimes I find that this top part leaves, it makes my cap a little waffly looking, so I try to cut off below that. We might cut off more, but for now we're just going to cut that much off. Okay, now you want to make what I call a belly band on them, just because, I'll just use the string because I've been using it. You want them to be sturdy to stand up straight, and this makes it so they easily stand up straight. And then you're going to put it in the middle of your fella. We're going to make a girdle for him, basically. And no one's going to see this because it's going to be under the sock that I'm putting here. You want to tie it, pull it as tightly as you can, and then go around to the back. This makes it easier because if you try and knot it in the front after I just pulled it tight, you're going to have to stick your finger there and hold it, and I can't do that. Well, I can, but I never seem to get a really good tight girdle effect. Tie it tight again on that side. Now you don't have to worry as much about it being loose because you've got that front part that held it in place. And we're just going to trim off those pieces. While you're doing this, you should be heating up your hot glue gun, if I didn't tell you that. The other thing I forgot to tell you is that you need some eyeshadow or some mica powder. This is just LA Colors pink eyeshadow from the Dollar Tree, and I use that on their nose to make their nose look like they've been outside and a little bit, frosty. See that? Anyway. And you need a little brush to put that on with. So the next stage is we're going to put on his bottom sock. Now you don't need, where the heel starts, you don't need it past that spot. So you're going to just take your scissors. I'm going to just move this off to the side. And you're going to cut it across right at the heel, hopefully. And it doesn't matter if it's, see how this is kind of diagonal? That doesn't matter, because you're only going to be hot gluing this where you want it to. So now you're going to start like you would a little kid's sock. You're going to open it up at the bottom. I might have to do this part off camera just to get it started. Okay, you see how I pulled it over and the toe is kind of at the very bottom. I normally turn that toe around so it's at the back. And you know where the back is because it's where the nose isn't. Okay, now the toe is running right there behind. See, this is the front. There's no toe. You're going to want to pull the neck up to his nose. And I normally pull it as high up on the back as I can, like all the way to the top. Oh, the hair from that little beardy thing. This is where you're going to burn yourself, so if you are inclined to burn yourself, either use those fingertip things that I have, but I don't know where I put, or don't touch the glue part. And no one's going to see that because the hat is going to cover that. Then the nose, I think I need to trim a little bit off. Yeah, I need to trim a little bit down on his nose, because you just want it to go up to his nose. You don't want a ton around his nose. So I'm just going to trim just a little bit like that. And then we can just look at that everywhere. See how now his sock, well, let me get a little bit more off. His sock should just, when it's pulled, should just go to his nose. And then what I'm going to do, after I see how you do this, you're just going to pull it up like that. So we're going to put some hot glue under the nose first, like that. And then you're going to pull this up and just hold it in place for just a second. Take it and pull it up on the side, like that. I need to put a little bit more under on the side of his nose so that I can hide the side of his nose. His hat should cover that, but in the case it doesn't, I want to make sure that we can fix that. And if you have any like an uneven part of your sock that shows, just tuck it under on the nose. Like, you see this little waffly part here? You just want to make sure that that doesn't show up. So we're going to, I always put a dollop of glue on the top of my knot, too. In case you didn't see that, I want to make sure I told you that. And I'm going to just pull this around like that. So his hat is, or his outfit, we'll call it, is glued in the back, and you can put a little bit of glue on the sides if you want, you know, like on this part, if you're worried that your sock might let loose, and you don't want that to happen. Just do that. I could have, and probably should have, put my mica powder on before I did the body, because sometimes you get this everywhere. I've been able to hide a lot of the pink that kind of comes off of this under the hat and under the beard. So if you're getting a little bit of pink on your black right now, it's not a problem because you're going to hide that. And you can put as much or as little as you want, but I recommend more because it does kind of wear off. You know, it's these are not for outside, by the way. At least mine aren't. I don't know if anybody makes them for outside, but I thought about putting, you know, those little wax pellets that you can get that are scented, that you can melt. Well, they already have a smell to them. I thought about putting one of those in there and giving this to somebody like an adult, but I was worried that their dogs would smell it, and so I decided not to do that because, you know, what if the dog liked the smell of it and decided he'd need to investigate? Because sometimes people use these on their, like a door stopper. Okay, I'm going to do this. See how it sits nice and flat? That's because of this little belly thing that we made it in there, so it'll kind of it sits more like a person. It doesn't have that big bobbly look. Okay, next let's talk about our hat. Now these are very big socks. You don't need these long socks, but you do need from right below the ankle heel. I'm going to cut mine almost even with this black and gray line. And then I'll show you. There were so many things that I saw in videos that I really couldn't do. I think I could probably do something with this, but I haven't decided what I could do with it yet. One of the things that I saw in videos were that people used little balls in the top of their stocking cap. So I got these little styrofoam balls at the Dollar Tree, and they come in a set of a bunch. I don't need a bunch. I only really needed one because I'm using this to create a stocking cap. And you can do this a bunch of different ways too. You don't have to make, you can leave it as a ball. I could make it a ball cap, you know, like a tassel, like with a ball like that. Maybe I will make this one, but I'll show you what I did on this one. What I did is I put the little ball in, and then I tied it off, and of course we can tie it off so you can see all of it. But once you tie it off, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out how you want it to look. So you're going to want your little ball to be at the very top of your sock. I don't know if you can see that. Well, actually that's the toe. The top, the bottom. The bottom of your sock is where it's at right now. You're going to take one of your pieces of string and you're going to wrap it tightly around there. Tightly. Like that. And then I'll explain how you can turn this into either this kind of hat where it has the little bobbly thing on it, or you can turn it into a tassel hat. And what I did was, to make the tassel part, I just cut out the ball. I ran my scissors across the top, making sure not to gouge the little ball. I just cut across the top, and then I pulled the sides back and I pulled the ball out. So once you've done that, then you're going to want to just trim the top so it's straight across, and then you just cut down the sides, and it makes these little tassels. Well, some of them fall off, but it makes these little tassel pieces, and it's cute. It does tend to fray, but that's an option for you. I thought that was a cute thing to do, but I'm going to show you both ways so that you know how to do it with just the ball. Then you want something to decorate it with, so I'm going to get my twine here. Yeah, my twine was in good shape until I couldn't find the end, and then I ended up making this huge knotted mess of twine, cutting off the excess on the string. So you're going to take your twine, and you're going to take, you don't need that much, but I'm going to use that much just because it makes it easier for me to work with. Now, here's another problem a lot of people have, is trying to get this through here. Some of these little Jingle Bells, the opening is really, really small, and I'm going to show you how to get your string through your opening if that's the case. Here's what I did. I took my twine and I wrapped a piece of regular Scotch tape around it like that, and then I cut off the excess tape. You don't need a ton of this. Oh, kind of cut my twine there. You just need, and I'll make sure you see it. Hopefully you can see this. See where I folded over the tape and now there's a point right there? See that? That's what you want. And then you're just going to put it right through. It makes it so much easier. This is my glue gun incident from the other day. That's all you need to do. In case you wanted to know, that's how you do it. Then I'm just going to tie my little jingle bell onto my hat. You can do a knot, you can do a bow, You can do whatever you want to make your Jingle Bell make you happy. But you do have to cut off that much, that little piece that has the tape on it. Don't forget that, because somebody's going to look at it and go, oh, that's nice. What's that piece of tape you gave me there, Sandy? Okay, so then I have, I'm going to just make this a knot, and I'm going to just cut, so we have about that much extra twine on there. And as you can see, I've got a lot of little fuzzies on this sock. That's the one thing about working with this that's annoying, is you get a lot of hair and fuzz from the sock and the beard. Okay, so I'm not putting on the hat next. I'm going to put the beard on next. I got my fur at Joann's in the ribbon section, and you want a square. I'm going to make mine maybe this long. What would that be? 1, 2, 3, almost 4 inches long. And you want to go underneath, and you only want to go through the backing. So you kind of have to stick your scissors in between the backing and the fur, because you don't want to cut your fur, because if you cut your fur, you're going to end up having no excess hair hanging down, and you want that hair. That hair is crucial to your beard looking authentic. The other thing that you need to know about this is that this backing stuff really shows up. Can you see that edge right there? You want to trim that off if you can see it. So this is what the back of mine looks like. You'll still get some hair that comes off, but it's not going to be nearly as bad as if you would have actually cut it. I'm going to take off any excess I have here. Now, I'm going to show you what I mean about that. Do you see that white edge on the top? You need to trim that off. Get as close to your fur as possible without touching the fur, because you don't want to cut your top fur off either. But you don't want that to show up, that edge. And a little more hair will come off. If you can keep wiping the hair every time you do that, you'll be really happy you did, because otherwise at the end you have hair coming off everywhere. Now, you want to make sure you make a spot for the nose, and I always just kind of free hand this. I don't really try and do anything too complicated. Again, I'm trying just to get underneath the edge, and you want to go as deeply as you can to make sure that your nose will fit in that hole. You see how this is how it should look when it comes off. See how it's got hair on it? You want that to have that hair on it. Again, wipe your front, get the hair off, throw that hair out. Okay, and you want to make sure that you can wrap that around. Mine still isn't deep enough. I thought it would be, but it's not. So I'm going to make it a little bit deeper. Probably need to make it a little bit wider. Hopefully I'm still in the camera. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit wider too. Excess hair off. You probably can't see all the excess hair I take off, but I take off a lot of hair. And you want to make sure that's perfect. See how it fits right around his nose? Now, this is too wide for this gnome, because you see how it goes around his whole body? You don't want that. So I'm going to cut off maybe 1/2 inch on both sides. We'll try that for now. And I can use this extra that I'm cutting off to make layers. Sometimes you want to make like a mustache or a layer. Get under there. Okay. And then when you get near the bottom, I'm going to just angle it in, like, hopefully, like that. See this really long piece? That works really good for like side of a mustache. if you want to do a mustache. I did mustaches on some of mine. And then you want to trim off as much of this underlayer as you can that might either show up or get in the way when it tries to bend. You don't want it to be an issue when the gnome is sitting there. You don't want to dent because you've got that heavy layer of material in there. Okay, let me get that out of the way. And I'm going to cut this up again, up the side about maybe 1/4 of an inch because I don't want that much. Another good mustache piece. Then you're going to take it and you're going to wrap it around his nose. And look how much better it fits him now. I got to get off some of this excess. The best way to take your excess hair off is to start at the top like this and just run your fingers down it. Go with the grain because you want to make sure that any of this really loose fuzzy stuff comes off because it'll make your beard look a lot better. And like I said, do it every step of the way. The more of this you can take off, the better your beard's going to look. See how much I got off that time? Better having it on my desk and in a garbage can than all over my black base, which is the other thing you have a problem with. See all the hair that's accumulating on him? Okay, first things first, we're going to glue under his nose. You're going to put a dollop right under his nose like that. You're going to take your beard with both hands and run it right underneath there, holding it in place. Like that. Then, it's still kind of wide on the sides, but I don't know, I think he's kind of cool looking. This side here might be just a titch too wide. And trust me when I say this always happens to me when I do this, is that I always end up with thinking I got it narrow enough and then I don't. And then trying to get all this backing off isn't the easiest. There we go. Of course the hair on this is faux fur. This is synthetic. It's not any kind of real fur. I want to make sure I said that because I'm not a fan of real fur. Unless it's attached to an animal. Okay. It's live. How to make that qualifier. You know, you gotta have a real live animal. I'm just putting glue in all the little areas that will come up, will pop up, you know, over time, or can pop up over time. Okay, so now all we have to do is glue the sides and the top. I had to change cameras and go to a different camera. I hope this one's recording well. If it's not, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. Putting a little glue right there on the side, holding it down. And that's what he looks like from the front right now. Then you're going to take his cap, and you want your bell, your jingle bell, to be in the front. Then what you're going to do, first off, I need to cut a little bit more of my backing. I don't know if you can see how easily someone can see that backing. Okay, so first things first is we're going to glue his hat, the inside of his, no, we're going to glue the rough edge of his hat underneath. So what I like to do is I just like to run a dollop of glue like inside, like on a line. See that line between the black and the gray? And then what I do is I just take it and I tuck it like that. Because I don't like the rough edges showing. I know nobody else does this kind of stuff. It's crazy. I can't help myself. I'm just crazy that way. More glue on this section. Okay, here's something somebody just told me, and it's genius. When you're putting in a new glue strip, you just put a little teeny bit of glue on it. Then you shove it in and make sure that it's attach to the one before it, and then you know how sometimes when you put in a new glue stick, you keep having to play with it and play with it? Now you don't. Whoever told me that, thank you. I completely forgot who it was, but I really appreciate it. I'll try and put that in the comments below who it was. I really, really did appreciate that scoop. It was very handy. See, so now the outside of our hat is a straight edge, or pretty straight edge, of black, and then the inside uneven gray is hidden. So let's take our gnome, and we're going to, oh, his hair is crazy. We're going to take the bell, so it's in the front, and we're going to just kind of push this down, and then we're going to tuck it in the hat. And because these socks are so stretchy, you don't have any trouble getting it to do what you want it to at this juncture. So I'm just going to keep pulling it down so it's where I want it. And I think I want... Sometimes you feel like you need a little bit of something up in here. You can take your excess sock that you cut off, or the excess socks that you cut off, and just kind of, I'm just going to hack that off. I don't like that edge, as I think I explained. I don't like that tough edge. And then I'm just going to kind of just cut it into little pieces, or enough of a piece that I can work with it. See, like that. And then I'm just going to shove that up inside my hat. You just need enough of the material that it's going to give your top of your hat a little bit of substance. Some people put different things up in there, like they'll put those foam cores, you know, the triangular foam pieces that they make Christmas trees out of. Did that make any sense? I don't even know if it did. They use a lot of different things. I've just found some napkin. I'm just gonna see if I can shove a little bit more napkin up in there. I swear no one else that makes these ever complains about the amount of fuzz and hair that they get like I do. Okay, and then that like that. Okay, so then our very last steps. I might end up putting a mustache on him. I haven't decided that yet, but I do like the ones I did do a mustache on. I thought they came out really cute. And you're just gonna, ouch. You're just gonna burn yourself a little bit with the glue gun. Cheapers. Hate that glue gun. Hate that glue gun cut burny thing. Okay, then I'm gonna go around the edges. From there, I'm gonna do one more in the back. I want to pull the back edge down, get as much hair off of him as I can, making sure there's no hair coming out from under his hat. So then I'm just going to put a little dollop of glue around his neck, hold his hat down. Then I'll just show you the whole idea of the mustache and see what you think about it. There's one part, there's another. Sometimes I like mustaches, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I add a little goatee kind of look so that I have more hair in the front down at the bottom. Let me see about that. If I want to turn him into a man with a mustache. Yeah, I dig those mustaches. I'm just going to put another mustache on him. Just going to put a little dollop of glue on the side of his nose. And then I take my scissors at this point and push it in as tight as I can to the nose. Then Put a little dollop of glue. I think I've got a better angle for you to see it this time. I'm going to put a little dollop of glue on the side of his nose right here. And then you're going to take that little piece, and again with your scissors, this is the trickiest, most important part right here, where you push it in so you can't see that edge. And then my gnome has a mustache. You can trim off the bottom of your hair if you don't like it going under the gnome, but I kind of dig that. You know, I just like the idea of it being kind of all-encompassing with hair. And then the other thing you can do, and I probably will do this, is you take your glue gun and you put a little drop of glue on the back of his mustache, and that will hold it off to the sides a little bit, and it hides that liner just at the edge of the liner right there, and you hold that down. And if you can see this little dollop of glue right here, if you don't want that, you can run your heat tool or blow dryer until it until it liquefies. You're going to take it on, put it off, take it on, put it off, so that you don't end up having you don't melt anything inside, or ruin your sock or your glue or your rice. There, I'm going to turn him from a different angle so I can make sure you get a good vision of him. So there is our little gnome. Maybe I'll turn him more like that so you can see him good. I hope that you enjoyed him, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.